Unfortunately, no one can be told what
Serenity
this is. You have to see it for yourself.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Sub Beacon. I'm Victor Manis, along with Sonny Bunch and Jonathan V. Last. I'd like to remind you the Sub Beacon is available on iTunes and Google Play. Just look at a podcast and search for Sub Beacon. You'll easily find us. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. We've got many reviews coming in, and I wanted to mention one. Shermy gives us 5 stars and calls it, quote, one of the best gout-focused podcasts.
It might be the best.
Thank you, Sonny. Yes, and that means that there are other ones out
I'm
there.
going to report that review.
And the other thing is that
Abuse.
means we might be even ranked in the science and medicine category. We'll have to check that out. So that's it, gentlemen. How are we? JVL, how are you?
Do you ever have these moments where a piece of technology hits and you thought you understood what the state of the art was, but the new technology hits and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they can do that now. That's amazing.
Yes.
Do you ever have that?
Yes, that would be my DVD player.
I had that with a baby monitor this weekend. I went over to my brother-in-law's house to watch the bowl of super big game goodness.
The big game. Mm-hmm. We can't. I don't think we can call it the SB here.
The big game. We went to
Are
watch
we allowed
the big
to?
game.
Oh,
have
is
we,
that
have we
copyrighted?
licensed? Have we licensed?
No, you can't.
The phrase
That's
Super
right.
Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to go see the big game.
We went to see the big game at his house, and we, before the big game, did a big life step, took down converted the crib for his older daughter, my goddaughter, my niece, into a toddler bed.
Okay, yes.
And so she had her first night in her toddler bed. And as we were watching the big game, after putting her to bed, which was lovely, because she's so sweet. I love all my nieces equally. But anyway, he has one of these video monitors.
She's the calm.com of nieces.
She's the... Yeah.
Did the toddler bed have like a little rail thing?
Yes, a little rail thing.
Sure.
Anyway, so we're downstairs, and we are watching the big game, and we notice on the video monitor that my favorite niece sits up and starts getting out of bed. And my brother-in-law says into the monitor, "Get back into bed." And I said to him, "Why, she can't hear you." And he goes, "Yes, she can. It's a two-way."
Yeah, ours.
Have they always been?
Never.
No,
when we were.
I don't think so.
We
I
bought
don't think
one.
so.
We
It
bought
was
our
one
monitor
way.
for
You
Flash.
can't speak
and
into
that was
that.
it. And we never. So is this a
Ours-
thing that all
yeah,
the baby
ours-
monitors have now?
No, it's definitely not all baby monitors, but some do, and mine does.
That's crazy.
So we can say, get back in bed.
It reminded
Sometimes
me
she
of,
talks back to the monitor. I don't appreciate that.
It reminded
have a
me of
conversation.
my favorite scene in Real Genius, where they've put the implant into Kent, and Val Kilmer says, "This is God.
Right.
Stop touching yourself, Kent."
It is God, he says, right? After he says that to him. That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
I thought my sweet little favorite niece would have been like, oh, God can see me getting out of bed. Just scurried right back in. It was
That's very funny. If
we'd had those things for us.
That's right.
It is.
No.
It's funny too because, like your brother-in-law.
Yes.
We never had to use it when she was in the crib. It wasn't until she got in the bed and she could start getting out. And so I remember the first time we used it, she ran. She ran back into the bed. She was like, somebody can see me. I don't understand what's happening.
That's great.
Raising your children in the panopticon.
We really are training our children to be monitored at all
By
times.
Lord Bezos.
That's fine.
These are the training wheels for Lord Bezos, so that they will just be that when Alexa is always watching them and always listening to them, they will be perfectly
By the
okay
way,
with it.
in Real Genius, Val Kilmer's sort of like machine gun delivery, of one line is rat-a-tat, right? And there was one where he accuses Ken. When you mentioned this, one of my favorite lines is when he says, or the time that we caught you in your room naked with a bowl of Jell-O, and Kent immediately replies, "It was hot and I was hungry." That's a great line. Well, good for you, JVL.
How are you boys?
Sonny,
Did you enjoy the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
JBL? Did you enjoy the big game?
The big game, the worst
The worst.
The worst game that we've seen, and the big game in probably 10 years. We've had a run
Oh my
of
gosh,
really
thrillers.
compelling Super Bowls when the big joke used to be that the Super Bowl is always lousy, and it was because the AFC sucked and the NFC was dominant. So for like 15 years of our youth, it was just NFC dominance. The NFC Championship game was always the real
That's
big
the real
game.
big game.
And it was a return to one of those.
It was the other thing is, even in past years, you would sometimes have a slow start in the first couple of quarters, and then it turns into a real thriller at the end. This could have ended 6-3. This could have ended 3-0.
What bugs me is the people who know nothing about football, who are love the way the Patriots play because of the excellence. They play the game the right way.
Is this where is this on in
I got
TV
some emails.
or emails?
No, I got some emails.
Email.
Who
Whose
said,
voice is that? I want to know whose voice
you
that
young
is.
people just don't understand. This was a defensive masterpiece. No, it wasn't. So not all low scoring games are actually defensive masterpieces. They sometimes teams that are just bad teams can't score a lot of points because they're so bad. And the way you can tell
Has somebody told you that they
watching
like this
the clock management,
this voice that you do?
the pre-snap penalties, the drop passes.
We need those.
The drop
we
interceptions.
need those meters. We need those meters, Sonny, of the people, the parts that
like
people
Frank
dial.
Luntz?
Yeah, the Frank
The Frank
Luntz
Luntz
dial
meter?
meters, so we can know if it works or not.
It is that was
So
like a
this
week
is-
3 game.
You were talking.
It was
Sonny.
like a Big Ten game. It was like a college game. You know why people like the Patriots though?
You
know why?
like the
and
Patriots.
you were talking
You know
to
why
somebody who
people
was a
understand
Patriots
You
fan.
know why
obviously.
people? You know why people like how they play the game? You know why?
because of Trump.
Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski. What do they have in common? Just gonna throw that out there.
They're both really jacked.
Both big white dudes. You know what people like?
Julian Edelman's not a big
dudes.
white dude. Julian Edelman's a
little white
white
dude.
What are you
dude.
talking about, Sonny?
I'm just throwing this out there. It's racism. That's the reason why people like the Patriots, and that's why we cannot cheer for the Patriots.
Yeah,
Racism.
yeah. Or for Liam Neeson, I guess, huh?
Or
Sonny?
for Liam Neeson. Are we gonna talk about that?
Well, it's movie related. Cold Pursuit.
We'll talk about that next week when we
Okay,
talk about
yeah.
Cold Pursuit.
When you were
Cold Pursuit's actually really good, by the way. It's shockingly good.
It's not like I have a
They
set of
played
skills on a train.
they
No.
played the
On a train.
trailer for that last night at the screening I went to of this other movie. And for the first minute and a half of it, I thought to myself, I didn't even realize they were doing a Taken 4.
No,
I literally thought it was the Taken series.
it's a Taken with snowplows.
Save it for next week because we got nothing else to talk about.
Right, that's right. True. That's true. So otherwise, you're fine, Sonny.
Yeah,
What else is happening?
Super Bowl was boring. The commercials were boring.
You concur it was bad football.
It was bad football. It was
Yes.
bad football.
Yeah.
I will say that it was nice watching the game at home, not at a party or whatever. I've gotten away from the Super Bowl party thing because now we have kids and they're too young really to take out in a party setting. So now I just get to eat whatever I want. And you know what I did this year? This year my Super Bowl snack, I just got a pound of cocktail shrimp. Just a pound of cocktail shrimp.
I would not.
And-
I love the idea
like
of it.
Eleanor Shellstrom.
Yeah, there you go.
And but the problem is that's way too many shrimp. So I only
How
ate
many shrimp is that?
I don't know.
Well,
It's
it
like-
depends on the size. I mean,
it
if
depends on the size, but it's a pound of shrimp. So I ate about like a
I have no
quarter
sense
of the bag.
I have no sense of weight. Give me a volume.
It's like this, maybe this many
Like a
shrimp.
ball of
It's like
shrimp.
it's like a
2 softballs worth of
two
shrimp.
softballs of shrimp. And I got about a quarter of the way through the thing. I was like, ugh, this is too many shrimp. This is way too many shrimp.
You had a craving and you met that I feel that way with like dips for potato chips. I
Yeah.
love making dip.
Yeah.
And after a while, you could be dipped out.
Oh yeah,
Like half
much
the
dip.
dip is still in my
too
fridge.
much dip.
Yeah.
Wait, can we get a quick ranking of Super Bowl party foods?
Oh,
Here's
sure.
here's my top 3. From bottom to top. Now at the bottom, it would have been at the top before this. Cocktail shrimp. Number 2, guacamole. Nice, good homemade guacamole. And number 1, I think the king of the Super Bowl snack foods is obviously the 7-layer dip, right? Like whoever brings the
a
7-layer
great
dip
that
is
has-
the king of the
right. And then the very bottom of the dip is like a whole layer of cream cheese. You know, I mean, it's
What?
It's cream cheese and chili and melted cheese on top of that. Believe me, my buddy George Guattari's brother Dean Guattari from Philly, made this dip.
What's your favorite snack food?
You people
That's
go to
Super
some
Bowl.
weird parties. Where there are cocktail shrimp. No, you've
that's
been
him.
to
No,
Super Bowl
I didn't say
parties
that.
where
Well, like,
there
no,
are
like, with, like,
I didn't
cocktails.
say. I'm pointing over here.
with
That
like
was Sonny
with
Bunch.
the you know, like the round.
Did you get the
plate,
seafood
the
tower?
platter?
You bring up
Did
the
somebody bring a
you can get
seafood
a
tower
tower
to
from
your
you can get it from
Super Bowl?
Harris Teeter. You can get-
The plate
plastic.
of the plate of
the
cocktail
plastic
shrimp or whatever costs
plat.
like $10.
I have never in my life
What?
been to a Super Bowl party with cocktail shrimp.
It's like the easiest thing you can bring. It's actually a lazy thing to bring.
And it's mostly, you know what, and I wouldn't feel that bad, Sonny. There is some cholesterol issue with shrimp, but the shrimp that you're probably having is loaded with water, a lot of water.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really water weight. It's fine. I love it as the main course, though. I'm a big sub sandwich guy, but
You want the party sub?
The one that is like
You want
the
the one-
length of the table.
You want the
12
one
foot.
that's the length of the table and also like a foot
And the
wide.
foot wide. I want that, and you always see this on TV shows where they're
all
doing a
lettuce and
special.
bread.
A little bit, but I like the meat. I like obviously, and you got to have mortadella, gabagool, salami, prosciutto. Now you don't even eat prosciutto. Prosciutto, I'm with Sonny. Most prosciutto is
Prosciutto's
overrated.
trash. It's a trash
unless
meat.
it's really, really, really good prosciutto, but most of it is not.
Well, to be fair, all deli meats are trash meats.
I love deli meats. I could live in a deli.
The only good deli meats are like roast beef and like boar's head
Pepperoni,
ham.
pepperoni, hard salami
Some
over
Black
Genoa
Forest ham.
salami, gabagool. And
How is
mortadella.
how is your Italian voice any worse than my
Mortadella.
British voice?
No, I'm just trying to pronounce. I'm not putting on an accent. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's how we pronounce it. That's how we pronounce it in New Jersey.
Anybody who would use any sort of food dip or shared communal food stuff at a Super Bowl party
No,
with
that's
people
it.
you don't
That's it.
know
No,
is a
You
monster.
can't do it. You can't
It's fine.
do it.
It's fine.
You're not going to be.
It's
You
fine.
can't
There's no
function.
germs.
You can't
There's no
function.
germs in that.
You can't function. Okay. Well,
Katrina, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm recovering from a minor bout
still
of.
off your meds?
I am, but I'm recovering from a minor bout of food poisoning. So happened a couple days ago. I had gone out. Matt McConaughey and I had gone to meet some friends for an editorial luncheon where they wanted the. I'm not going to say where, but a Q&A about
Palm.
publication. No. It was in their offices.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But before that, we had to go and get lunch and then bring it up, right? And so there's like, get whatever you want. And it happened to be a Jack's Fresh Deli, which I know your wife, JVL, she's aware. She knows those, right? She's talked about this, but I can't remember the context anymore.
I don't think so.
About Jack's Fresh Deli. And
There used to be a Jack's Fresh across from the old place.
yes. So anyway, I went to get a burger, and fries. Just a small burger with bacon and lettuce, tomato, because it's RG. Reduce gluttony, got lettuce, get the vegetables in there.
Wait,
Something.
sorry. So you added things to the sandwich to
reduce the gluttony?
I just said everything on it. I forget. They said everything, and I said yes. So anyway, that was everything. I go up there.
But you said everything's
many.
softly.
But
so that
it
reduces
is,
the
and it was
gluttony.
shredded lettuce is good for you, and tomato. And then like a couple hours later, so I'm in the gym, and then I'm like, why is it so hard for me to get through the 30-minute running? And I'm like, God, I'm sweating bullets here. And finally I go, I don't feel so well. And then I go over to start trying to lift weights. I'm like, oh no, this could end badly. Like trying to bench. Right. Thank you for that noise. I wasn't going to.
Just a fire hose.
Let's not push it, shall we say?
Just a fire hose off the bench splashing against the mirror.
Always wipe down the equipment after you use it, boys.
This is going to need more than a towel. I might have to use those wet wipes. They have the wet wipes. Spray. I use a spray because the sweat and other things. But the bench is dark. You can't tell. The bench is dark.
You wear brown workout shorts, right? Nobody noticed anything.
No, it was brown workout. They were brown now.
It's a
They're
good
brown
thing.
now.
It's a good thing they're remodeling that.
Yeah,
because
it's
they're gonna
the
have
old
to,
gym,
they're
as
just
you
gonna
know.
have to-
And Joe,
they're gonna have to burn the whole thing down.
After this thing, believe me, they need the new gym. So I said, I got to make an emergency stop here because I normally don't do this. As you know, I'm not one of these people. And I said, I got to go up. So I had to go. I went back up to our office. It was after hours. I go, good. Nobody's going to be up there. I can use it. I walk in, and then Goldfarb comes right out of the stall, and he just says, "Don't come in here. It's like somebody died." He said, and he goes, "It's not even me." He says, "It's not even me." He goes, "I don't know. It's somebody else has this terrible." So I said, "Okay, I can't even breathe now, and I'm having the cold sweats. I'm like, I gotta have an accident." So I said, where should I go? He says, go downstairs. He says,
Do you guys have Xanadu here?
well, he says downstairs, one floor below us, he says, is like the executive lounge at Xanadu. It's great. I said, when? He goes, anytime. It's always empty. So I go in there. Sure enough, it's empty and dim, so you could tell nobody had been there in a while. I go there. I feel much better. Sure enough, I'm walking out. A guy is walking in, and we make eye contact. He sees me. I'm almost sweating from my workout too, and I'm pressing that elevator button. I gotta get out of here
Before he opens the door.
You know what's gonna happen. I'm sure he's looking for me now.
I wonder if he works on that floor. If he's another tourist.
Wait, that's happened here. I saw a guy on our floor once, Sonny. He does not work.
Well, we know everyone who works on this floor because we're the only people on this floor. So when I see a stranger coming out of there who's not a delivery man, look, if the FedEx guy's got to go, whatever,
totally cool.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. But when I see a stranger coming out of that bathroom,
what are you saying?
I don't say anything.
If you see something,
I don't
say something.
I don't say anything. But all I can think is, I hate you. I hate you so much. I hate you more than.
Right. No. I saw another Asian man walk. I said, I'm the only Asian man on this floor, and I said, you don't work here, and I knew he wasn't there to pee. So that was
just came
terrible.
up to destroy your bathroom. So it was retaliation. What you did.
So
we have war between the 25th and 26th.
Yeah,
so wait. So you did kind of Pearl Harbor their floor.
Oh my gosh! It was
it
was like the bombing of Dresden. It was incendiary. Sorry, JVL. Sorry. This is a terrible discussion for the show. And really, we don't do scatology on Sub Beacon. We apologize to our reader sensibility.
Twice a year, tops.
At tops. You shouldn't. It's not that kind of a show.
Anybody who's driven off the road, we apologize.
Yes, I'm sorry. So anyway, yes, I did, but I felt much better and continued my workout. And then the next day was fine and watched. I thought it was utterly boring, the Super Bowl, but did watch it to the end. And then the Super Bowl commercials. You didn't like any of the commercials, or some of the commercials, or what?
The only commercial that I watched and thought that was clever was the one in the elevator
with Jason
Bateman, where he's going to he's going to a Hyundai store.
Yes.
I thought that was actually kind of clever. It's like, look at all of these terrible things, and we're going to take you someplace nicer. But all of the other ads were kind of terrible. The Pepsi ad is one of the worst ads I've ever seen. People
got so excited about that ad. I don't understand.
Can we just from a like theory of advertising perspective, Pepsi has waved the white flag in the soda wars.
They've conceded.
They've conceded that everyone's first option is Coke. And they've also conceded that everyone hates the second option. Because Pepsi is never okay. Pepsi's never okay.
And also that
people wanted Pepsi, they would ask for Pepsi.
They're also admitting that it's a common phrase, is Pepsi okay? Right. JVL's raising his hand.
JVL likes
you
Pepsi.
like
of course
Pepsi.
He does. Of course he
Some
does.
people.
I prefer, I mean, for no carb purposes, I don't ever drink these things. But when I was carbing, of the two real sugar options, Mexican Coke, which is cane sugar,
yes,
or real Pepsi, which is beet sugar,
yes.
Weirdly enough, I prefer real Pepsi. I prefer the beet sugar, which you would not expect.
Real versus real. I'll get back to you on that. And you don't either one. When they're real, I don't drink as much.
I can't drink either of them because they're
very rich.
They make my teeth hurt. Like real sodas make my teeth hurt. I feel like I'm dirty. There's like a film of filth.
And you have perfect teeth, Sonny.
And you don't feel like that with the corn syrup fructose slime.
I only drink diet sodas.
No, right.
I only drink.
Sure. You've been conditioned,
which is just battery acid.
I have 7 pounds of cancer in my stomach somewhere from all the saccharin that I've consumed over the years. But I'd rather have that than like the gross feeling on my teeth.
Who wouldn't?
I like the NFL 100 commercial.
It was good, wasn't it?
Peter Berg.
Yeah,
you like Peter Berg, and I like the unexpected Bud Light Game of Thrones commercial because everyone hates those people from Bud Light and Dilly Dilly, and to see the guy get the mountain treatment, so that was very exciting. If you watch Game of Thrones, when the mountain appears, I thought that was very exciting.
So I actually missed this ad. Could you explain it to me?
Well, it starts off with the music. It's Bud Light, so it's not like pretending to be. So Bud Light agreed to be made fun of in this commercial where it starts off and it's very dilly dilly, and then they're having this joust, and then the quips back and forth, and then the Bud Light Knight is there in blue going against somebody we can't see, and then he gets totally taken down in the joust, and then you see the figure walk over, and it's the Mountain from Game of Thrones, Sir Gregor Clegane, and then he proceeds to crush his skull. Doing what he did in Game of Thrones.
Family entertainment.
Yes, and then the dragon appears and then burns everybody up in the crowd. So
does that mean no more terrible Bud Knight ads?
no, because they came after that, and I was expecting more Game of Thrones, and it wasn't. So it was just one little.
So
ad.
Dilly Dilly was a victim of its own success, like the Was Up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Will it ever come back and be sort of retro? Hey, you remember when we did Dilly Dilly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
How long?
The kids will do it.
Yeah, no,
not
like
us.
the people who are like 12 now.
As you were saying, did you say this, JVL, in your son's class? The kids are saying dilly dilly.
Yeah, at our
same
little
thing.
hippie Montessori
Same
school
thing.
on the playground. They'd be like, dilly dilly.
It travels around. Yeah. They'll be using it. What did you think of the Avengers trailer? Commercial, really.
I liked it.
Yeah. Okay, me too. Sonny.
It's fine.
Okay, good.
I liked it.
No, I like it because it doesn't give you too much.
Yeah.
I will say that the sense that I get from the next Avengers film is that it will be much more of an actual film with like beginning, middle, and end, and like an actual story that they're trying to tell, as opposed to a summation of 20 years or 10 years of 20 movies.
May I just say one thing, though?
Please.
The thing which has stuck with me most since the Super Bowl was the abbreviated trailer for Us.
Yes.
And you could not pay me enough to go to that thing.
In the sense that it's bad or scary for you? Too scary
It
or
looks
too
terrifying.
bad? It looks terrible.
The creepiest, most terrifying movie ever.
Scary kids
made.
versus kids.
And who would have thought that like this
Jordan
super
Peele,
funny guy, Jordan Peele,
could do that?
would turn out to be like the Wes Craven of hipster horror
I would
or
say
something like that.
No,
Like,
the trailer for Us, which I've seen now 4 or 5 times
same,
in theaters,
is
legitimately terrifying, legitimately freaky and scary in a way that Get Out wasn't exactly. Get Out was like kind of clever horror.
And knowing.
Was more intellectual horror.
But this movie is going to make all of the money.
This movie looks. It's the scariest looking trailer I've seen in a long time. But you know what else has actually a really good and kind of creepy and terrifying trailer? Have you guys seen the trailer for Pet Sematary?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, and I am not seeing that movie. Definitely not.
Pass.
Definitely not.
Hard pass.
Because we know what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Question. Is Captain Marvel supposed to be in the Avengers Endgame then?
Yeah, we'll have to be.
Right, because she...
Well, at the end of Avengers,
that's right.
Nick
he
Fury
contacts
calls
her. But
Wouldn't surprise me if she's the big save. She actually fixes
somehow
everything.
doing something.
She's the key. The key to
right,
it. The
because
key to it.
prior to that will be her movie.
Yes. March. Coming up.
It's like a superhero overload. Speaking of which, over the weekend, Glass continued its rule at the box office with $9.5 million, followed by The Upside with $8.8 million, and Miss Bala in third place
I'm sorry.
with $6.7 million. Muy malo, Miss Bala.
Excuse me.
Yes.
You used overload as your transition, but you didn't want to use
Superhero?
that with
Which
you
one?
didn't want to
Which
do
one?
overload with superheroes.
Superheroes?
You didn't want to do that with the food poisoning because that is a missed opportunity.
Well, yeah, it's happening. This is all on the fly. Anyway, a very weak weekend. I can't imagine I have to do another Glass transition next week, right? It's over. Or no?
No, you won't. Next week's gonna be what's
This
coming out
weekend
this
is what?
weekend? Cold Pursuit.
Lego?
Will probably
Lego or no?
or maybe the Lego movie's coming out.
Yeah, Lego.
Okay.
Yeah.
which I still haven't seen.
We don't have to see that, do we?
Do we?
No, unless our
You're
listeners are
Mr.
kids.
Lego.
You are. You're
It's
Mr.
gonna be
Leppin.
the- it's
You're really
gonna
the
be-
Leppin
it's
movie.
gonna be the
You should
big-
see that one.
It's gonna be the big movie.
If I
mean,
torrent it,
There
will
you
it be
go.
the
There you
Leppin
go.
movie?
There you go. I saw the trailer. I'm not getting any sense of what it is though. That's my thing.
It's just Legos. I hate all these Lego movies. I've gone from like being like kind of okay with the first Lego movie to hating all of them now.
Yeah,
I hate all of
The
them.
Star Wars ones I think are pretty cute.
Can I just
The one on
box-
TV. On TV.
One box
The
office
series.
note.
Yes.
Can we
Please.
just note the success of They Shall Not Grow Old, which is the
Oh,
World
yeah.
War One documentary directed by Peter Jackson, which with like the kind of restored, colorized World War One footage. I've seen it; it's very good, and everyone should go see it. I can't imagine we'll do an episode on it. But it was number 10 this week, which is pretty good for a documentary
It's
about
crazy.
World War One. It made $2.5 million or so, and it has grossed almost $11 million now. I think it's actually grossed past $11 million now. which means that it could very well outgross Mortal Engines. The $100 million disaster produced by Peter Jackson
also.
Which is kind of amazing if you think about it.
What they should do is have, the World War I battlefields on machines that rove through the countryside battling each other in the battlefield.
Hugo Weaving narrating.
Yes, that would work, and then you could combine both. But this is your thing, Sonny, is produced by such a
nonsense. There are very few instances where you will get somebody excited by telling them that somebody has produced a film.
Even better, from the producers of.
From the studio that brought you.
Studio.
Here's people
from the country.
People don't care about directors really. Like if you ask the average American to name 10 directors, I would be surprised if they could do it. 10 current working directors.
I'd be surprised if they could name 4.
I would be. I mean, I don't know. But I don't think it's like a huge selling point. But it's at least kind of a selling point, and it at least makes sense. Like the director puts his stamp on the film, and everyone kind of knows what to expect from a Peter Jackson movie, more or less. Bloat. But when you get down to like. From the producers of, or from the team that brought you, or from the studio that brought you, it's nothing. It means nothing, and it means nothing to the people who are going to see movies, obviously, because the big selling point of this movie was from Peter Jackson, director of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, then it's going to be just like it.
Do you know who that's for, though? That's for the talent. That is literally you put that line in there to stroke the talent to make them feel loved.
But why?
Because it's not going to hurt you with anybody, right? Nobody in the audience is going to say, "I won't see that," because it's from the producers of.
Why would the talent care? Because the talent's already made the movie.
Have you ever met any of the talent?
Well, okay,
because they all care. As one of them once said to me, "It's not about the money; it's about the love."
I'd love to know.
The money must be nice.
Okay, but we're not actually talking about any of the movies at the top of the box office. No,
we have to go now all the way down to
where, Sonny?
14.
Okay, not bad. I thought it was lower.
Is that good?
It's bad.
We are talking about a movie called Serenity.
Serenity, not the film sequel to the show Firefly. Different Serenity.
Yes, and. If you watch the trailer for Serenity, I can imagine the kind of movie you'd be going to expect, right?
Yes.
And in fact, everybody's talking about Serenity not because it's so amazing, but because of this weird ending. Sonny,
Vic, could you, as the normal person, film goer, of our
Mr.
group,
Cinema Score, yes.
Wait, who saw this?
I saw it.
Yes. I saw it.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Did anyone else see it?
Creates havoc. No, she didn't. No, I did. That was the only line. He had one sentence. And that's the only sentence you want to hear. A roll of the dice. With Anne Hathaway. Roll of the dice.
Roll of the dice.
12. If you saw the movie
from Havoc.
From Havoc. Yeah. Was it 2 or 1 dice? I hope it was just one.
Just one. Just one.
Right. It was
from 1 to 6.
It was what's her name? Who was the other girl?
She rolled a 3.
Yeah. Does that mean 3, including me, or 3 and me? That was the big question. Okay. See Havoc to understand what that was all about.
It also has a cat, woman.
Right, of course. Thank you. I forgot about that. Sonny, you're saying.
As the normal cinema goer of this group, Vic, could you explain to me the movie you were expecting from watching the trailers?
Okay.
We should set this up because I think there's a large probability that like 2/3 of our listeners don't even know what we're talking about.
This is why I want him to explain the trailer.
There is a guy, Matthew McConaughey, who is working somewhere, I think, in the Keys, the Florida Keys, and doing what he does, takes people out on boats, and then the mysterious, alluring, gorgeous Anne Hathaway appears. Sultry. Anne Hathaway appears and says, I want you to take my husband, who is abusive, apparently.
Played by Jason Clarke.
Who was everywhere these days, out on a boat. And it's kind of a corny line. She delivers it cornily. It didn't work for me, which is, and drop him in the water. Feed him to the sharks or something like that. And I'll give you $10 million. Okay. So it's a moral dilemma movie.
Yeah, right. It's like a noir. It's like a noirish type.
And there are other people. Diane Lane's in the movie, so this could be really interesting.
It's like a sexy, sultry noir.
It's really
Wild
hot and
Things meets L.A. Confidential or something like that, right? There's something right. It's very much actually. The trailer feels a lot like Wild Things.
Yeah.
Right. There's a sexiness about it. There's crime and murder.
Sex and murder. What can go wrong?
Money.
So, but it's not quite that. Sonny, you want to give a sort of a review of it?
All right, so we're gonna get into spoilers here. So if you're one of the people who wants to go see Serenity, if you're one of the 10 people left in the country who wants to go see Serenity, you should tune out now. Serenity stars Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. And a re-teaming of the actors who brought you Interstellar, but we're not in the stars this time. We're on the ground in an island where Matthew McConaughey has fled. He's fled society. He's just a fisherman. He's going for the big tuna. He wants to catch the big tuna. He's called this tuna Justice. He wants to catch justice. And but he can't. He can never catch justice. It always eludes him. And into this mix walks Anne Hathaway, who is his ex-wife. She offers him $10 million to kill her abusive husband, who's played by Jason Clarke. And about midway through this movie, you discover that none of this is actually real. That Matthew McConaughey is a video game creation of his son, who is trying to bring him back to life. So Matthew McConaughey can teach the son how to commit murder. This is literally the point of the film, is that it is about a boy who is using video games to rewire his moral coding, and you actually see several shots of him, coding and programming on the computer to try and change the video game in a way that will allow the main character, again played by Matthew McConaughey, to kill people. And it's a fascinating disaster. The whole thing is just a really interesting failure, I think. The movie itself is, I'm going to be honest, from a pure filmmaking point of view, I think it's an extremely well done picture. The twist is teased in ways that are both clever and a little bit obvious if you know what to look for. There's this one shot, for instance, when Matthew McConaughey is walking on a cliff, and the perspective over his shoulder keeps switching kind of randomly, which is a thing that anyone who has played a first-person shooter will recognize, the weird camera shifts that you are not quite in control of. And so the acting is, of course, very good. Matthew McConaughey is an Oscar-winning actor. Anne Hathaway is an Oscar-winning actress. Jason Clarke is a very talented master of skullduggery. Diane Lane is in this film. She has an Academy Award nomination. Djimon Hounsou is in this film. He has an Academy Award nomination. There's an enormous amount of talent in this film that is frankly bizarre. That is frankly weird and bizarre, and the sort of thing that I can't really see how you would ever be able to sell to the sort of audience that is going to go to a Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway sexy noir, right? When I went to see this movie, the audience I saw it with, there were 4 other groups of people. All of these groups were middle-aged women who were there to see the Anne Hathaway, Matthew McConaughey sex noir.
Well, they got a lot of Matthew McConaughey ass.
I wish I could have talked to them afterwards to ask them what they made of the film that they had just seen, because it is so weird and strange, and it has this out of left field twist that nothing is real, that it's like the Matrix. I wanted to ask them what they made of all of this.
You could have just talked to the people.
Why would I talk to people? Why would I ever?
If you really wanted to talk to people,
the Sonny Bunch dilemma.
No, come on.
I want to know, but I can't ask.
I want to know, but I don't want to. I don't actually want to know. So here's what I liked about this movie. I liked the fact that it is earnest to the point of campiness in its treatment of morality and the ways in which we confront difficult situations. Because again, this movie is literally about a kid who wants to stop a man from beating his mother, killing his mother. He's worried that this man is going to kill his mother. And so he's trying to teach himself how to violate his own moral code against. It's like the most hardwired moral code in all of us. Thou shalt not kill. It's like that's rule number one. As a social animal, we don't kill people. That's like what we do. And he is trying.
It's not the actual rule number one, though, is it?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going by the 10 Commandments. All right.
5?
Is there a
Is it number 5?
There's actually a golden calf on the
Okay.
island. He has to melt down first.
Please go ahead, Sonny.
Anyway,
Yeah,
but
Sonny,
like
go.
this is like rule number one as a social animal. You don't commit murder. It's like the worst thing you can do. And he is trying to teach himself how to do that. And again, the movie treats this in such a literal fashion that it's kind of comical. And you kind of think that it's a joke. But the final shot of the film is Matthew McConaughey and his son reunited, running on the island, and they grab each other and they hug and they're spinning around. It is pure camp. It is like pure earnest, total camp.
Ernest goes to camp.
Unintentional camp. It's the purest form of camp. So but here's what I like about it again is that this director Stephen Knight has kind of made a career of making movies that are sort of like this. Did you guys see Locke?
No, we talked about this. I have to.
So Locke is a fantastic movie. It's just Tom Hardy in a car. He's driving, and he's driving to the birth of his bastard son. And he knows that doing this will cost him his job. He's leaving a construction site where he's going to engage in the biggest concrete pour in European history. He's got to get away from that, and he knows it will probably cost him his family. He's on the phone throughout the car ride with his wife, trying to talk her into accepting this thing that he has done. But he does it because he knows that this child, this blank slate, deserves to have a father in his life. He grew up without his father. He needs to redeem himself, and he needs to not make the mistakes that his father made before him. But again, the central metaphor of the film is this concrete pour, and it's all about how the concrete has to be good, and if there are flaws in the concrete, if there are flaws in the foundation, cracks will appear and everything will come crashing down, just like happened to Ivan Locke in this movie. So it's like super on the nose metaphorical storytelling.
I didn't want him to be born in the darkness as I was.
Exactly. So I am a total sucker for this sort of thing.
And this is a
total sucker for this sort of thing.
And it's a recurring theme for the director then, this fathers and sons is what you're saying.
Yes.
It happened twice.
Yes.
What was your audience like, JVL?
There were 3 people,
Okay. Yeah, similar.
including me.
I felt like in mine that's why they were dudes, and I think when it's bright I could see the reaction of their faces, and it was comical. I think they were in on it. I mean, did you know the specific ending?
This is
'Cause
my
I didn't know the
question.
specific.
Did you guys go in cold? I went in totally cold, having seen nothing but the trailer, having read nothing.
I went
nothing.
in totally cold, knowing nothing except that there was going to be there's like a crazy twist in it.
Same.
I did not
I was
even
bracing
know
for
that.
wacky ending, so I assumed, including that this could be completely virtual, surreal,
And
something crazy.
I
so.
gotta say, I
was less surprised
found
in a weird way.
myself wondering about a third of the way through because of if you are familiar with video game language, there's a lot of stuff in it, like the drive from his house to the town, which is through cornfields, which feels a lot. The very first of these sandbox games was a Dreamcast game, the name of which I'm now forgetting. It sounded like Tekken. It was Japanese, but it wasn't Tekken. Tekken was a 3D fighting game. The radio.
Yes.
So the radio station, which has the same type of Zydeco background music, and that sounds like the kind of radio station you hear as ambient noise in a video game. The NPCs, like the old guy sitting in everything about it felt, and so I feel like the twist in its own weird way was earned.
Yes.
It felt like mini games and missions. Find the cat. You have to trade your stuff. You can't go out on the boat unless you have money, you have gas. You need money to buy gas, and so you either have to go and farm some fish, or you've got to go farm the gigolo. Like having sex with Diane Lane to make money to get to go out and hunt the fish.
That's straight out of the hot coffee scene in GTA.
It is kind of though, and so when the switch came, I was basically prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept wondering how this movie got made.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a mystery.
Because this feels like and I actually think this movie is destined to be a tiny cult classic where 14-year-olds who are going to see this when it comes out on streaming.
That'll be wild.
Like 14-year-old budding cineasts. The 14-yerold Sonny bunch would have his mind blown by this, right? And is going to say, but you could actually examine it as if it is Limbo, right? It's not even video game.
Yeah.
Like where this is where the mind goes after he dies in Iraq before he moves on to the next thing. And the truth is the son is actually God, who is the one who can change the rules, and you're merged and brought together. That's what the definition of heaven is to be with God, blah, 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 blah. And so you can read it on multiple levels. But the question of how you put a bunch of movie stars in a...
Big stars.
Enormous talent
in a movie that is essentially like a grad student, film student project where you can't prepare the audience at all. It is... On the one hand, you want audiences to go into movies cold. This is a thing I have with John Podhoretz. It's like John believes you should really the pure way to see a movie is to go in cold. I am very pro spoiler. I find that knowing about a movie does not affect me one way or another when I go into it. But even John's like going in cold. A movie is making certain bargains with you, even if you're the coldest of cold before you step into the theater. You cannot go in to see Bambi and then get hostile. Right? I mean,
Right.
like people,
Sure.
there's
There's a
are
reason this
certain
got-
compacts that you can't break with the audience, and certain things that are not even swerves or twists. If you don't prepare the audience for in some way prior to being in, it doesn't matter if you earn the twist.
Then
because
what?
they're not,
Yeah.
they are not in the movie they wanted to see or thought they had any reasonable expectation of seeing.
Well, there's a reason this movie got a D+ from Cinema Score.
I can't believe they got even that high.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because I think you are right that there is a subset of people who are going to love this movie.
Oh yeah,
Who are going to absolutely adore it and think it, and those people all gave it A's, which brings up the again middle-aged woman there to see the sex noir, and they're like, F, what is this nonsense?
Right.
Vic, what did you make of all this?
I was trying
What
to
would
figure
you
out...
have given it if you're talking to the Cinema Score?
A+. No. Just A++.
No,
as my
seriously though, you
teachers
are
would
our
give
man on
me.
the street. I
Yeah.
would like to know what
Yeah.
would you.
Like a C.
Were you satisfied?
No, it's just
unsatisfied.
it's
were
too-
you bothered?
It's
intrigued.
I'm trying to imagine.
How did you feel,
I was
Victorino?
I was bracing for a crazy bad ending, and so it was not as much of a surprise when it actually happened. I think if I went in thinking it was going to be just sort of murder, sex, murder for hire kind of a movie, and I had no idea this was happening, I would probably give it a C or a D. I'd be like, well,
What is this?
What is this? But throughout, I was always trying to figure out what's up with the movie because it didn't seem right. At the moment where he wakes up from the table and there's water on the table, and then the kid who we don't know, Patrick the son, has water as well, and I'm like, okay, so there's something cosmic going on here. My first thought was like Jacob's Ladder. He died in Iraq, and he's finding his way to until he goes up. And then the second part was like, well, it's kind of like part Truman Show too,
Yes.
where there's people
Yes.
controlling. And then ultimately, then it reminded me of the Lego movie because there is a creator, but it's like they became aware. And the other thing is, it's very much like The Sims, The Sims, it's like a movie where the Sims become aware. If you play the video game Sims, and you're not supposed to commit murder or kill people or characters on The Sims, but you can theoretically
do it. The swimming pool.
Yeah, the swimming pool. You take out the ladder, the person or whoever will die, will drown, and they have a whole thing for that. And so it's sort of like the other characters saying, we don't want to go that way. We don't want it to be that kind of a game. So that was interesting, I guess.
I liked. Again, I'm a total sucker for this sort of stuff. I like the little touches, like him not being able to run the red light. Like he's trying to run. So there are still rules. There are still codes. There are still rules and codes. And the character who walks around saying, I am the rules. Like that guy is like, again, kind of unintentionally hilarious, but also an interesting representation of like the conflict within within the kid's mind and within the mind of the characters.
So are you assuming that the kid did not create the game, but he bought a game and is breaking into the code to change the game
No,
that he
he
purchased?
created
Or
it.
he
I thought he
scratch?
created the
He
game.
created
That's
it from
the sense.
scratch.
All right.
Yeah.
Because he's like some sort of genius autist or something.
I would say I even thought that the movie earned the tension towards the end about whether the kid wanted him to break the rules or not. Right. I mean, because
it's a real struggle.
The central one, but I mean, whether you should or not. I mean, whether the character of the kid
Yes,
wanted
right.
him to.
Right.
Because there's that sort of ingenious way in which the game is rebelling to try to convince him to not do it, and you're thinking, crap. So which does the kid want him to break it, or does the kid really secretly not want him to break it to keep him from doing something terrible?
Well, and they come up with a workaround, right? That Matthew McConaughey does not actually kill Jason Clarke. Justice kills him.
Yes,
Correct.
the fish does.
The fish named Justice.
Yes.
A friend of mine joked on DMs that like back in the WPA days, a Hollywood studio would have been paid by the government to give out of work writers something like a fish named Justice to work on. But like it is again. I don't love this movie, but I love the audacious earnestness of it all. I just think it's fascinating.
I'm amazed, as you mentioned earlier, that this stellar cast, read the script and said, yes, I want to do this, but maybe they were only allowed to read half the script,
So this is something that I would like to talk to somebody who actually knows something about Hollywood about, maybe our friend Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Rushfield.
Yes.
But this was packaged together by CAA. Hathaway and McConaughey both work for Creative Artists Agency, and it was sold to a studio.
I'm sorry, CAA works for them.
Well, okay.
In theory.
So CAA packages this deal with McConaughey and Hathaway, and the script. I don't think Night is repped by them, but like CAA puts together all this talent, sells it as a package to a studio that goes under. Averon picks it up. With the agreement that they will do an ad spend that will be commensurate to a film that will be on 2,500 to 3,000 screens, and then just backs out of that, just does not advertise it anywhere,
and delays it for a year.
Delays it, pushes it back 6 months. It was supposed to be kind of an Oscar season type movie. Pushes it back 6 months, does no advertising for it. To the point that the stars and their agents are leaking things to Deadline about how angry Anne Hathaway and Matthew McConaughey are about this, how furious they are that they are being sandbagged by this distributor Averon, and it's a fascinating glimpse into how everything can go totally wrong with this kind of prepackaged entertainment complex. I think there's a whole book, there's a Final Cut style book to be written about this movie, and I would gladly read it, but somebody would have to write it, and who's going to want to write?
Maybe we could just get an oral history of
it
it
was
at the Ringer.
Access.
Could
if
somebody
the
over at the
Ringer-
Ringer do that for us?
If anyone at the Ringer listens to the
That'd be really
Sub-Beacon,
good. Funny. I walked out of the movie thinking to myself, that is the weirdest damn movie I've ever. Like, what the hell was that?
Weirdest ending ever, though, right? Or no?
No, just everything about
Okay.
it was weird.
Okay.
Like, but over time, again, it's an interesting film. I can't hate it. Like, I wouldn't see it again. But I'm not unhappy. I went to see it, and I'm happy that somebody tried to make a movie like that. And like everything, I guess it really is an interesting failure. And again, if we were legit adolescents instead of only overgrown adolescents,
We'd be all over this.
I think this would be like a seminal cinematic experience for us. Don't you
totally,
think?
Yeah.
totally,
Yeah. Havoc would also be seminal for me too.
different one.
So to speak.
You know what I thought of was the also in terms of endings, crazy endings, right? It's like what other movies or TV shows get crazy endings? It's on a par with, I think, the ending of Saint Elsewhere. Do you remember the ending of Saint Elsewhere?
Yeah, it's all like in the crazy person's
it was
mind.
an autistic kid who was
Autistic kid.
Yeah, so he and he's looking at the snow globe. In the end, the doctor is actually a construction worker, and the whole thing. You can see the clips on YouTube, but a lot of people, I think, at the time were outraged that they just spent 6 seasons with
that
this
was
people.
unearned, though. I mean, this, as I said,
Well,
this
that's
was
the thing.
this was not
This was-
just
no, it was not
like,
just that.
hey, he
That's
was
true.
dreaming. I
No,
mean, this
no,
was a
that's
very
true. That's
earned
true. It's weird.
twist in its own
And
way.
Yeah.
But I'd say if you're a middle-aged woman who's never spent any time in video games, it would not be earned to you
This
at all.
is not-
Like you would just
yeah,
look
you're
at
not
what
getting
the
it at
hell
all.
just happened
Yeah,
here.
that's right. That's right.
Because then the only tip-off you get is the kid's eyes in the very beginning.
Yes,
right?
The kid's eyes at the very beginning, and
Yes,
the bit
the
where
beginning.
he goes under the water, and you can kind of see the code. There's like,
Yeah, that's right. And there was a lot. There was also a lot of Matthew McConaughey like nudity in the water thing, and I just wasn't. All of a sudden I thought it was turning into one of his other ads for what is it? What did he used to do? Dolce
Lincoln.
Gabbana, Lincoln too. But he used to do Dolce Gabbana. Like, oh, okay, we're going there now. But but you can't have when you see Matthew McConaughey. Sometimes you can't tell if it's a Lincoln ad or if it's a movie because he has the same. And the scream. What did you make of the scream? He does the Matthew McConaughey scream. Well, not that. Besides that, that's great too. But it was kind of weird.
What scream?
He's getting frustrated and he's in the boat and he's just screaming. Thank you, Sonny. Yeah. It's kind of weird.
Is the reconnaissance over?
I think it's been over for a couple years now.
Yeah. What ended it? Where do we draw the line at the end of the reconnaissance period?
This movie.
No, there was he was in a couple
Something
of.
else?
Give me a sec. I'll effort this.
In terms of endings that leave you confused, I was thinking going
The
back
Dark
to-
Tower.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean
Okay, fine.
that is I would
Fine.
say the
Fine.
the definite and I mean he was in so Interstellar is like kind of the peak of because that's also the year True Detective came out, I think, right? Was that 2014?
I thought True Detective
2015
predated it. No.
But then he had a couple of good movies, Cubo and the Two Strings. But then The Dark Tower was a disaster and
I was going to say best surprise ending for me was probably No Way Out. Still, I've mentioned that movie a million times on this show with Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman. Terrific ending. Ending I really didn't like at the time in the theater with a twist ending was Time Bandits. I know our listener Brian McFarlane.
How dare you?
Brian Fontanen loves that movie.
I love that movie.
It's a weird movie. When I saw it when I was 8 in the theater or 9, and so the ending, the parents die. That's terrible.
The parents sucked.
Don't touch it, it's evil.
They were attracted.
Jonathan will have, JB will have to say, I can't do the accent.
They were attracted to evil
because they were obsessed with their gadgets. I wish he stayed with Sean Connery, Agamemnon, in the end of the movie. I was so upset that we can't call them midgets, the little people, the dwarf, they took him away, and then it was like, oh, this terrible thing. And I remember being very upset about that. JVL, thoughts?
The Passion. The end of that, I just did not see it coming.
The end of the
The
Passion.
Passion of the Christ.
I was just like, wait a minute.
Wait, did you stay to the very end, though? Did you stay to the very
The
end?
stinger?
though? Oh, yeah, the
Did you-
stinger.
yeah,
the
just the stinger at the end.
Come
Did you
on.
stay
to the post-credits?
But he's dead. I hope you stayed for that stinger.
Sorry. Come on, that's
Wow,
a,
that's good. That's edgy. That's edgy.
I still hope,
just for you, Father Harrison.
Yeah, I was going to say, he appreciates that.
I still want to get the Passion sequel that Mel Gibson
He was
has
supposed to
been-
do where he descends into
been
hell.
What was he gonna?
What's the journey through hell?
Yeah,
What is it?
yeah, and he descends into hell. And he talked about it in an interview, I think with Stephen Colbert.
Well, Jim
or
Caviezel
somebody.
has been talking about it for,
Yeah. So that would be very interesting. Okay. Do we have other thoughts?
I have no more thoughts about Serenity. I do hope people find it in home video and at least enjoy it on some level. Enjoy it on some level. Enjoy it on the unintentionally hilarious level that some people are, or enjoy it on the earnest level that I think JVL to a certain extent does.
Yeah, it's a meditation about. I think it works best as a meditation about limbo, right? And purgatory. I mean, this is the definition of purgatory. Whatever. I don't want to get too Catholic. I'll let Father Harrison and the clerically speaking guys.
But of course,
do that.
limbo technically no longer exists, as you know.
Does it?
Yes. So you know where they all go now, the babies? They all go to the Hudson Institute. That was my joke. But sorry, that's a very inside joke because everybody works at Hudson. I used to say that all the time.
funny.
Thank you. Very inside. The movie definitely made me want to drink rum and go to an island. And that can't come soon enough. That'll be me in April.
Rum is gross.
I like rum. Okay.
It's better than gin.
I like
Gin
gin
tastes
too.
like pine.
I like gin too.
Pine salt.
Yeah, well, a little bit. Okay, corrections, additions? Anything? Nothing? We're good? Wonderful. That is all the time we're giving to this episode. Questions, comments, complaints, compliments. Tweet us at Victorino Mattis, at Sonny Bunch.
At JV Last.
Again, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. Is that correct?
My understanding is Paul Crookston is currently working on a YouTube something or other.
That's very exciting. Okay, just type in Sub Beacon under podcast.
Make sure to leave us a review too.
Please.
Reviews are very important to the algorithm, to the almighty algorithm, and
they really are actually.
Yes.
Even if you reviewed us before,
Yes.
you can go and hit the stars again. So you can vote. You can give 5 stars like infinity times.
But also, if you just write something about how good it is.
Please.
Yes.
And I'm so happy. We haven't been slapped with the E yet either. You notice that? Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well,
Because we don't-
we've been good at bleeping.
Because we bleep. We shouldn't have
bleep.
been getting an E in the first place.
Maybe our numbers are even higher
An
now.
effort by a certain somebody to sabotage us, I think.
Okay, well, anyway, thank you again. Leave a review. Tell your friends. Until next time.
Do we have anything?
I have 2 things.
Oh, 2 things.
Fantastic. Go for it.
1, can we talk about that text I sent you last week, Victorino?
No, which one? Which one?
You were talking about Emily Ratajkowski
Oh, yeah, I love
when we
Ratajkowski,
were
yeah.
talking about the Fire
Yes,
Festival.
of course.
And I found an interesting tweet from her that I sent to you. Would you like to share it with our audience?
Yeah, it was a picture of Emily Ratajkowski
That she posted
that
of
she
herself.
posted of herself, and she looked great. And then my phone stopped working.
Oh.
It just went black. It just faded.
It just
So, yeah.
exploded
So-
in your hand. No, okay, well, I don't want to spoil it. Come on, exploded in your hand.
I can't. Well, no one could see. If they had Facebook Live, then you could see my reactions here. Yes.
So I got a little something for you boys.
All right, go for it.
Flash has got himself a podcast.
What?
You let Flash have his own podcast?
Flash and one of his buddies from school are now doing a show that they call the Sports News Universe.
Oh, that's
Sports
fantastic.
News Universe.
That's great.
The 2 of them, and they just do it. It's on SoundCloud for their buddies, and it's just to be passed out for their little hippie Montessori buddies.
So this is the equivalent of the zine.
Yes.
This is the modern
Yes.
middle school equivalent of the
This is what we always wanted to do. We always
zine.
wanted to do that, and then to hear
Exactly.
yourself.
And it's just the 2 of them sitting around, at least in the first episode, talking about Bryce Harper and free agency and how greedy sports agents are and how Scott Boras is the worst person ever. It's very, very
Do they do
funny
Spirit of the Week?
stuff. I'm sure it's fine.